make sure the budgets were being adhered, make sure the office, whatever offices he had, were working smart, not hard, not losing money. What opened my eyes about the mosquito control was last year I had noticed how much money they'd lost on their budget. When I say lost, it's when you set a budget for X amount of dollars and then you exceed that budget. Last year they were over in the red $2 million. Year before that, 1.1. Year before that, 1.9. Originally, your board consisted of 5 board members. Those 5 board members were reduced to 3. I don't have a problem with that. None of the board members have pest control-driven relative experience. Out of those 3 board members, 2 of them are husband and wife, which I feel you do have a bias there. When setting budgets where you do not have relative experience, you get what's going to call trial and error. And when I say trial and error, for years, we had what was called a ground infrastructure, where you guys probably remember the trucks running up and down the streets. Those trucks were responsible for those areas. Those areas, obviously, they were treating adulticide treatments, larvicide treatments, different aspects of mosquito. If you've noticed now, you've seen the helicopters flying. Those helicopters cost exponentially amount of money. Everything that those helicopters you can achieve with airboats for pennies on the dollar. Now, what happens when you're applying with helicopters? You get what's called a non-target kill. You're going to have your material fly because wind, drift. And also there's times where obviously you can't fly the helicopters when we have these big storms. So you're going to get what's called a hatch-off when the larvicide treatment does not kill the mosquitoes. So just like last month, they had to have the State Department of Agriculture have a flyover with the big plane to do an adulticide treatment. Luckily, it didn't cost us any money. I know they did approve $60,000 to go ahead and go towards it. If there was going to be a charge this time, Wilton Simpson did not charge, neither did Governor DeSantis. In saying that, pesticide also is not always the answer. I would like to see more of repair and replace, such as when in 1997, when I started working with mosquitoes, we had to take care of Florida Power. I spent about a week every month out there taking care of the low-lying areas, talking to Florida Power, having them refill these areas. And then obviously you would have to use adulticides, but I would also like to see more of like bat habitats, things that are natural predators towards those mosquito-sized insects because how much they consume. A regular bat will consume anywhere between 4,000 and 6,000 mosquito-sized insects a night. So that is quite a bit. In saying that, mosquitoes, you know, you've got 3 of them. You got the Aedes, the Culex, and the Anopheles. The Anopheles is the mosquito that's going to spread your most disease. That's your female mosquito. CRISPR, which is also scientific, they work with breaking down the genomes of the insect, just like how they would break down the termite. Well, they started doing field trials with working with the Anopheles mosquito years ago, and as of 2024, they have a year's worth of field trial testing on it to where they've actually been able to eliminate the female Anopheles from being able to reproduce another female. So I'm saying that you're probably maybe about 2 years out from having complete mosquito eradication if they're able to formulate this pesticide. Again, with mosquitoes, there are different things that can be done as far as around the house, you know, as far as cleaning up dilapidated things. I would also like to see the Mosquito Control Board have the capabilities of giving fines out, you know, because there are a lot of people. You guys look around, you drive around neighborhoods. There are neighbors that don't do anything to upkeep their area. And that is just something, a few things and extra ideas that I would like to bring to the table that, you know, it's industry relative ideas. So again, my name is John Sino, and I would look for your vote and highly appreciate it on or before November 5th for mosquito control. Thank you.
Thank you, John. You mind answering a question? You might have a question for John? Anything? All right. So my understanding is the female mosquito causes the most problems.
Yep, and the males just fly around waiting for something to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Nice to meet you. But thank you for alternative technology. So we have Jennifer Grogan here and her husband on the screen, Paul Grogan. He is running for county commissioner. So let's give him a hand as he introduces himself to us.
Well, you guys know I'm Paul Grogan. I got asked to do this, and we found a way to make it happen. And I think that's the attitude that we need on the commissioner board, and not giving us all the jargon about the different processes that they have to go through, or the steps or loopholes they got to go through to get things done. There's ways to get things done. I am a boat captain. I've been in Citrus County since 1978. I run vessels that are worth between $35 and $100 million. They're usually in length between 240 feet to 300 feet. And I went to Hernando Elementary School, Lecanto Elementary School, Inverness Middle School, Lecanto Middle School, Lecanto High School, and with Withlacoochee Votech. Those are the schools that I went to in Citrus County. My wife and I are members of the Christian Chamber of Commerce. She has a beauty salon called Inside Out Salon, so we are small business owners. We also had some space in the plaza, and we decided to use that to give back to the community during the pandemic. That has grown into a multi-ministry facility and location. It includes Inside Out Assemblies, food ministries. We've assisted with the Church Without Walls and their food giveaways. We also participated in the United Methodist in Hernando and United Methodist in Crystal River. We also was part of a vision team at First Baptist Claremont when they were building their new building. And through that association, we helped with Serenity Orchards. We recently lost one of our evangelists named William Lowry. He was a tent minister who literally still has tent ministries all over the world. And he was special to Citrus County because he was the guy on the tractor that said, Christ is the answer. And when you went to the Christmas parades, you would usually see that tractor. And he was the one driving it and waving with his cowboy hat on. So we're very integrated into the community. We have a nonprofit called Inner Beauty Ministry, and through that piece of the puzzle, my wife was nominated as Citizen of the Week and then Citizen of the Year, and we continuously try to give back, not looking for the reward, but sometimes the reward comes. I just want to take a minute to pray for the coastal villages of Crystal River, Chaskawiska, Ozello, and of course, Homosassa, and then Cedar Keys just completely wiped out. So, just praying for them and their knowledge and wisdom and making sure that they're doing what God wants them to do in the time of need, and that they understand that they can always turn to the Lord for advice and instruction and direction. And I hope that those people that live in those communities do that. And I hope it makes them wiser. And I hope that they, it brings them closer to God, because I think that's the end goal. My son, our oldest child, he was a school bus driver. He's now a tow truck driver. Because he got the job at the school bus, he went ahead and got a full CDL. He had a Class A CDL, and he was able to drive across the country. He decided he wanted to stay in Central Florida, and he's been a resident of Citrus County more than once. He's now a tow truck driver, and if he could make a good living in Citrus County as a tow truck driver, he said he would move back. As we all know, some of the jobs there's just better jobs in Orlando, Ocala, Tampa. So we see a lot of people moving that way. Our second oldest is Emily. She works at Home Depot. She has a very cool job because she works from home and she handles the multi-million-dollar accounts. So what happens is they call her up and they say, I need 50 windows. I need to build an apartment complex. How much shingles can you get me? And then she sources that. She explains something to me that's important for this hurricane, is that when you go to the Home Depot, they only keep a minimum amount on the shelf. Everything else has to be ordered. So they literally just use a SKU number to look up all the other items they need. So they might have 5 doors in a store, but if you order it, they'll source it from anywhere. They'll even buy it from Lowe's if they have to. So that was an interesting thing about how these big corporation chain stores work. The other middle child, we call her, Ofa, she graduated from high school, and we're happy about that. And she is working already. She took a job in Daytona as a musician. She's wanted to be a musician, and now she is definitely a professional musician. And she got to participate in some of the local theaters and arts as a actor, and that was a lot of fun. And I believe she got nominated for the Cooter Fest, one of the queens. So, she's a beautiful child inside and out. And then our final child, who's still at the house, going through her senior year, Malia, she recently did a summer program at Berkeley, and she's finishing up her school while she's dual enrollment. So she's taking high school classes and college classes at the same time. I respect what Mr. Frank was saying about the schools, the kids coming out of schools with something they can actually work with and they can do. And I can validate that your kids can do CAD drawing in a practical way and not a laboratory way. If they could do CAD drawing in a practical way, they are sure to find a good paying job. And what's interesting is some of those jobs are remote. That means they could live in Citrus County and still make a decent living. So that's pretty much my personal, history. I lived on 200. I lived in Citrus Hills behind a farm. They had cows, they had chickens, and the milk truck would come every day. When the milk truck screeched, I knew it was time to catch the bus. They had one horse there named Sugar. So that's how I grew up. I grew up next to that cow pasture. And a lot of Citrus County had a lot of cow pastures. And then prior to that, we were on Highway 200, where my mom was the manager of the convenience store that's way out there all by itself. And then she became the manager of the convenience store that's across from the Hernando Elementary School, which is where I went to Hernando Elementary. So we also have some friends that do food ministry on Saturdays at 2 p.m. At Hernando Lake. And if you guys know anybody who's in need or wants to fellowship, they've been meeting at Hernando Lake at 2 p.m. for 5 years. So what you see the guys doing in the hurricane, feeding the people and offering food and warm food and fellowship, they've been doing that for over 5 years. So I was really proud to be part of that and support that. Other than that, I want to be a county commissioner so that I can serve the community and I can make sure that our values, the values that we have in Citrus County, are adhered to. And some of that means compassion, and some of that means, keeping things from becoming urbanite, becoming an urban community. I think we're growing faster than we have sewage. We're growing faster than we have the electric systems set up. So what's happening is that there's a lot of utility rights that are being taken advantage of. And they're not putting in the utilities properly. They're not putting in the roads properly. And they're still building. So my question is, why do they keep doing that? Why do they keep building without the proper foundation? And why do they keep asking for more money for the sheriffs and more money for the property appraisers, but they're not giving us more? And I'm really confused about how we can have more people move here, they pay more taxes, and then we have more taxes. So if we're increasing our taxes by increasing the population, we're increasing our taxes. But if we're increasing the taxes by increasing the taxes, that's an issue. And there's got to be, there's something going on there. So I agree with the mosquito control speaker about making sure that we maintain that balanced budget. Working on these large vessels, we are our own firefighters. We are our own rescue. We are the vessels that rescue other people, and we have to be at the ready at all times. One of the things that keeps us there is making sure that all of our equipment is checked and that we are following the best standards, whether that's Coast Guard standards or international standardized organization standards, or whether that's ISM or the other CFR requirements that have to be followed by code. And you know what's interesting is each state you go in, it's a different code. Each port you go in, it's a different rule. And you got to know all these rules before you go in there. I've took vessels from Louisiana all the way to Africa, up and down the East Coast, and I worked in Africa. I worked in California for a year. And everywhere you go, there's a different code, there's a different board, there's a different organization. And then sometimes while you're there, they change the rules. So, you know, I'm used to what's going on in the county commissioner board. I'm used to all that. I'm used to looking at the budget. I'm used to making requisitions every 2 weeks. I'm used to, you know, negotiating with the client, you know, on these multi-million-dollar deals, you know, to make sure that we transport everything safely in and out and that we bring everybody home safely. So my first priority is making sure everybody has health facilities, access to those health facilities, and that includes the most vulnerable of the communities. And then it's safety, making sure that our first responders have the equipment and instructions and the confidence that they need. I look at that just like the confidence we try to give to our kids. You give them confidence, they're going to do good. You don't give them confidence, they might not do so good. And then my third tier is environmental. I'm very familiar with that. I have to take environmental classes to be a boat captain. And, you know, we have a zero discharge policy on the vessels. And what's interesting, once again, with the storm, is we have bags that we put our trash in when we're on the boat. And that way the trash doesn't fly all over the place. These are called solace bags, or sometimes they're sandbags. They would allow people to put their debris in the bag, and you can tie them off, and then the wind blows, and then when the wind's over, you can go back out there, open it back up, and keep filling it up, or you can take it away. So there's some practical solutions that we can bring to the table right now and down the future. And once you bring all of that stuff together, when you bring the health issues together and make sure all the roads are about going to the health facility, and then the safety of the traffic, and the safety of the people, and the safety of the schools, and the safety of the people that work for the county, and the safety of the parks and recreation, when you put this in the safety of not having mosquitoes all over the place, all that, when you put all that together with environmental issues, there's a program called ISO 31000, and it looks at the risk management of putting all that stuff together. And then we would use ISO 14000 and ISO 9000 to make sure that there's minimal conflict as possible. And that's what we call quality control. So the resources are there, they're available, and it's just a matter of having the right person that understands how to read all that jargon and put it to practical use. And that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years on boats. I've been applying all these standards for the last 20 years. So I think I'm a good fit for being a county commissioner and being one of 5 people. I'm used to working on a bridge team, and I'm used to having engineers and deck people and other officers working underneath me. So I'm very comfortable with the idea of sharing my knowledge and also helping out, as well as being able to facilitate drills and instructions and making sure that we get the job done safely with no one harmed, no environmental harm, and no equipment harm. And when we protect our equipment and we protect our people, we can have a longevity of life. And that's the quality that I want to bring to Citrus County. Thank you.
All right, very good. Paul, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, you answer a couple of questions?
sure.
All right, does anybody have a question for Paul? Mary, if you can bring the microphone over. Thank you very much.
Hi, Paul. How are you today?
Hi, it's good to see you again.
I just wanted to make sure I'm not wrong. Are you running against Holly Davis? That's all I want to know. Thank you. Is that the commissioner that you're running for her seat?
Yeah, correct. I'm in that district. That's the district I grew up in.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you so much.
So, Paul, let me add to Mary's question. Since you're running against Commissioner Davis, what are one or two things would you do different than Commissioner Davis that's having you run for her seat?
Well, I think some of it's things I wouldn't do. You know, I think that we can do a better job of supporting the people that already live here and the small businesses that are here. And you know, I don't want to use the hurricane as the best example, but it's a small example of you know, we have a system. If we would use that system and the resources would have been already here, we probably could manage even better than we already did. I mean, the teamwork that was put together for everybody through the hurricane is phenomenal, and it's great. I just think that we could do better planning and better execution of that plan. I definitely don't agree with you know, telling people they made a mistake or calling cops to keep people quiet and, you know, just dismissing some of the people that live in this county, you know, and that's a delicate subject. You know, I'm not in her shoes, so I can't, you know, I don't know what she's going through when she makes those remarks. And I just think that we can treat all the citizens with dignity and respect, and you know, and we can definitely lower taxes. I'm not talking about no new taxes. I'm talking about we could save, and you know, it's already been alluded to. We can save $5 to $10 million if we have the right person on board. You know, and I don't see the other commissioner that's currently in the seat. I don't see them doing that. I see them going the other way. I see them saying, "Oh, we've been trying to get this money for years," but you know, when you're building something that's not a need, and then you know you're giving the sheriff extra money, and then you're taking it away from him, you know, and then there's a question about how much money we're putting in the property appraisers. You know, you're just asking yourself, okay, so what happens if we save that money? What happens if we give them the budget and they save money? So as a commissioner, I would definitely be interested in the idea of making sure each department has a way to save the money. And when that money's saved, we're transparent about it. And we're letting you guys know what we can do to improve our community. And that could be as simple as just building the path, you know, building the path and closing up some of these multi-purpose paths that, you know, connect the bicycles and the roller skaters and walkers. And, you know, that's things that just make the value, the quality of the community better. I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing is, oh, we got a new project, give us new money, and then don't worry about it. Don't call me. I'll tell you about it later. Or saying that it's tied up in the state. Well, sometimes that's true, but at the end of the day, we have 3 to 5 years to plan. What you have to do is you have to submit everything now so that the money's there later. And what's happened is that there was some road money that was sitting there. They didn't submit the money, So now we're not going to have it for the next set of roads, but it's going to go to Hernando County. So I think I would be a lot more proactive on making sure that we have our name where it needs to be in the state and federal budgets, and make sure that we're in line to receive some of that funding. And that's going to be really critical, because the honest truth is, when you're 4 years as a commissioner, you're actually working for the next 6 to 10 years of resources. So that's what's important when you pick your commissioners, making sure that they're asking for resources that are fiscally sound for the community. And a lot of those decisions end up playing out, 2 to 10 years after you leave the commissioner.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Does anybody have a question for Paul? Well, don't just give Paul a hand, but give Jennifer a hand for doing that. And thank you, Paul, for being with us tonight. Thank you. All right. Again, I love technology until it doesn't work, but we made it work, didn't we? I want to invite John Labriola to come. He's running for Inverness City Council. Give him a hand as he comes.
Thank you, Pastor, and thank you, everyone, for coming. Like I said last time, for those of you who weren't here, my background is in journalism. I'm currently the grassroots and legislative affairs coordinator for the Christian Family Coalition, which takes me to different county commissions and different school boards to try to promote family values agendas, including last year we got the ALA out of a lot of counties that were funding the American Library Association, as you know. But what really started me in politics here, it was a few years ago, we had an LGBT pride propaganda display in the library. And that was kind of like the little foot in the door. I'm from an area where that kind of stuff, it started small like that, and then it just grew and grew and grew. Well, we were able to stop that. There was a pride display in 21, and since then it's just paused. It's stopped. It's basically gone. So I'm running for the Inverness City Council. How many people actually live in the city of Inverness? Just raise your hand. Okay, so you'll be able to vote for me. Even if you don't live in the city of Inverness, it's still important, and I want to explain why. It's because, for one thing, the city of Inverness has seats on various boards throughout the county, including the library board. So we could have a say on things like library budget. Library advisory board members are also selected by this by a 7-member board that includes people that sit on the city council of Inverness as well as the Crystal River. And then the other one is the Tourism Development Council. So the Tourism Development Council is made up of various people, including one member from the Inverness City Council, and another member from the Crystal River City Council, and somebody from the County Commission. So that one is an area where I think that a lot of stuff has been going on on that board that people may not pay attention to because they don't go to those boards. But one of the things that the Tourism Development Council tried to do last year was to spend $55,000 of tourism tax dollars to promote, to do what they call a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan to attract LGBT tourists to Citrus County. Now, that was such a bad idea that it was dropped by the county commission, but my opponent, Jackie Hepfer, she actually made the motion to do that. But there's another thing going on with the tourism tax dollars right now, and it's something that actually Holly Davis is championing, and that is to spend $5,000 a year to promote Citrus County in an LGBT magazine, which I feel is a totally inappropriate use of our tax dollars. I don't think we should be like tailoring messages to LGBT communities or any specific community. I think we need to be talking about what we as a community have and let it be open to everybody, not like let's get the LGBTs or whatever. So that's a waste of money. That's going on right now. And I think if I can get on this the city council, I can have an impact by hopefully taking a seat on the Tourism Development Council. But one of the things that recently you may have read about is Cootertober. Have y'all heard of Cootertober? So this is the month of October, and the city of Inverness last year started something called Cootertober. It used to be a one-weekend event, which was called Cooter Fest, and there were cooter races. Basically, a cooter is the kind of the native species of turtle, and they had cooter races, and they had different family-friendly activities. They had country music festival. But last year they started what's called Cootertober, and the emphasis was on sort of the more Halloween aspects of it. They had like a zombie pub crawls, a zombie a ball. They turned the historic courthouse into a haunted thing, a haunted mansion, where they said there was a witch trial there, and which never took place, but there was a witch trial there, that when she was sentenced, that the place burnt down. It's just a total falsification of history. But the interesting thing about the Cootertober is that the city of Inverness actually hired a company, a nonprofit called Twisted Arts Initiative, which is the owners of that also run Twisted Inc. And I just found out recently, somebody did some research on the owner or the executive director of Twisted Arts Initiative, who the city of Inverness is paying $74,000 a year in a city contract to manage the whole Cootertober month-long of Halloween activities. The president or the executive director, Alicia Belden, is an actual self-declared witch. I got this just a couple of days ago. Somebody was like looking at her Facebook stuff, and she actually wrote that she is a witch. So I think it's very inappropriate for the city of Inverness to be giving a $74,000 contract to a woman who declares herself to be a witch to then just give her carte blanche to just run Halloween however you want for an entire month, and whatever, we'll just give you carte blanche. And that's what's basically going on right now in the city of Inverness. It's very disturbing. I feel like that shouldn't be happening at all. Now, the city of Inverness, even if you don't live in it, it is the county seat, and what happens in the city of Inverness can eventually spread to the whole county. And one of the things about this is that the person, the company, or whatever the nonprofit, Twisted Arts Initiative, is also promoting it. They're not only organizing the events, but they're also promoting it on TikTok, on social media, and their social media posts are going viral. So that's going to attract people from outside the county who are. Some of them may actually be witches. Some of them may be occult, because these people are associated with the occult. The president or whatever, the executive director, is an actual witch. So this is going to bring the kind of people that we don't necessarily want in Citrus County from who knows where. And I think it's a totally inappropriate use of taxpayer dollars. But even if you don't live in Inverness, there's a couple of ways you can help me. We're going to have early voting start October 21st, and I would like to see if maybe some of you could sign up. I have a couple of sign-up sheets on my table. If you would like to sign up to maybe take a shift during early voting, we did that last time. I actually ran 2 years ago. I lost by only 40 votes. But if we can step that up a little bit, and just we'll have signs also for, by the way, voting no on 4. So I'm just not just going to have my sign there. I also want to make sure people vote no on 4, very important, and try to get a Trump sign out there too. But we just want to see if you can help us in that regard. And I also have a couple of John Labriola signs if you happen to live in the city of Inverness. But that's pretty much what, and I've got some of these cards as well, but that's pretty much what I'm running on, and why I'm running for the city council. But does anybody have any questions, I guess?
You have questions for John? Yes, right here.
Yes.
Laura, wait just for the microphone.
sorry.
That's right.
When you were describing the things that you would like to see changed, or the things you would support, I don't know the process, but you're talking about different boards, okay, like the tourism and the library. How do the city council members get assigned to those boards? Is it a volunteer thing, or it's a voted thing?
That's a good question. Yeah. So actually, every year, I believe it's every year, the board, I think it's toward the beginning of like their terms, or beginning of the year, when after they get elected, or even if they've already been elected, it's the first meeting after the elections, and they meet, and it's a yearly or every other year basis, and they decide who's going to sit, like for example, on all the boards: the tourism board, the MPO, the library board, and so forth. So individual members will just say, "Hey, I want to be that," and usually, if there's not a competition, they get voted on. So it's the board itself, the council itself decides who sits on that. My opponent, Jackie Heffer, actually sits on the tourism advisory. I mean, the tourism advisory council right now. So if I defeat her, I think that would probably make me like the favorite for that position. So I mean, unless the council may be hostile to me, I don't know. But I think based on the fact that if the people elect me to that position, and I'm talking about wanting to be on that board, I think it would be a major slap in the face if they don't put me on that tourism development council. So that's how it works.
Anybody else have a question for John? Yes, right here, Jennifer. Just a second. Nice, Rich. Nice navigating. Very good.
The Twisted Arts Initiative. Who did you say?
Alicia Belden is the executive director of that.
No, who asked her to come? Who hired her?
Oh, okay. So it's actually the city manager seems to be behind a lot of this stuff, but the city council just goes along. At the last few commission meetings, we've brought up the fact that this is not appropriate. I didn't know she was a witch at the time, but I mean I suspected it. But they just feel like, oh, this is just fun. It's not really demonology, whatever. But the thing is that she actually is a witch, and she's not just a witch, but she's associated with people that are into witchcraft, and they're going to attract that kind of element to Citrus County, which we don't need. Oh, does she have another?
So, would you be able to stop that from happening? That's what I'm saying. Like,
I see. Yeah. So I'm going to be one vote on that council. But I think if you have even just one person saying we shouldn't be doing this, I think that could have a big impact on what the manager is thinking and say, hey, maybe we need to slow it down. Right now, we don't have any voices on that council that feel that it's a problem, so they can just march right along. But I think if I'm on there, even I'm only one of 5, I think that could make a big difference, especially if I make a big stink about it, which I plan to do because I think it's just a horrible waste of taxpayer dollars. Yeah. So
very good.
Anyway, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Is that probably an annual contract?
Well, I think it's an annual contract because last year it was 100 or something like 95,000, and they got it down to 74 this
Right.
year. So I think it is an annual contract. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else have a question for John? All right. Give him a hand. Thank you, John. God bless you, buddy. Thanks. All right. I'm going to have Jesse come up here in just a moment and give us an update. But before he does, Jesse, let me do this. I want to have Vicki Smith come up. She's running for school board, and let's let her come up and tell us about her candidacy and ask her questions, and then we will finish things with Jesse. So thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Vicki.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Thanks for hosting this. We appreciate it. So there's 3 questions that you should be asking me, and that is, why am I running? What do I bring? And why you should vote for me. So I'm going to walk around because I'm a teacher. So the reason why I decided to run is because, first of all, I have 5 more years yet to retire. So I'm right now still in the classroom and have been for over 25 years. And I love teaching. I'm not putting that down. I'm not a politician. The reason why I decided to get in the run is because what I've seen happening in our schools, what I've seen happening with our students, and with our staff members. So I started out in Hernando County as a teacher. And while I was there, I was actively involved. I was doing a lot of the professional learning, and I was teaching not only our teachers, because we're always constant learners, and also teaching our students, but I was also teaching the administration. And then, unfortunately, my husband passed away, and I wanted to be close to my son, who at that time was living in Hernando County. He now lives here in Citrus County. And so I decided to move here to be close, but I had to get away from Hernando County because, the memories. So then I got a job at Citrus High School, and that's where I've been ever since. And I've been here for 18 years. When I became a teacher here, and what I loved about Citrus County was the close-knit, how everyone's so close. And the students actually were more well-behaved, believe it or not, than the ones in Hernando County. We had a lot of gangs, a lot of wannabe gangs over there. And so I saw, oh, this is wonderful, this is great. But then our teachers were constantly leaving. They were not staying long. And I was wondering, what is going on? So then I got involved and became first the vice president of our association. And I started getting involved in that and seeing what was going on. And then I became the president not too long after that. That's opened my eyes a lot, what's happening. And that's what I bring a lot to this school board. When I was president, I also was still in the classroom. So I never left the classroom. But what I noticed is we have a lot of unfairness happening with our staff. Our staff, we have a lot of discipline issues. And again, this county is much better than Hernando County. Please understand that. This is nationwide. Our students nationwide are out of control. But what's happening is that we have no support here. Our staff are not being supported. They're feeling like they have, no one's got their back. They're proven guilty. They're guilty until they're proven innocent here. They're taken out of the classroom. As soon as there's an allegation against them, they're taken out of the classroom, which is not good for our students because then the students are not being, being taught. But then after they're taken out of the classroom and they're feeling the humility, the humiliation of it, but also too, then now they're being investigated. And as soon as they're taken out of the classroom, their information is going to the Department of Education, which is over our certifications. And so they're already now getting investigated by that as well, before they even got questioned by the HR at the district level, before the students got questioned. Their certification is already on the line. And they do that all the time. This is the only county that does that all the time. So we have great students, we really do, compared to other counties, but we don't have the support that we should have here for our teachers in this county and for our other staff members. That's the issue, and I want to change that. We have another thing that the staff members have a problem with is, of course, our salaries. We're one of the lowest paid employees in this county for schools compared to the other schools. Now, yes, they did a nice raise, got us back up, got us up going. But what they did is when they got the salary for the new teachers and the new support, because they had to bring everyone up to $15 an hour, they made a compression. So the teachers that have been here for a while are now making the same amount as a brand new teacher that just started. That's an issue. How can that be fixed? Well, we're very top heavy. We have a lot of administrators up at the top. I'm not talking administrators in the school, I'm talking at the district level. We have, first of all, 2 assistant superintendents. There's no need for 2 assistant superintendents in this county. We're small. Even the other counties next door to us that are larger only has 1 assistant superintendent. So that right there, you're talking a salary of over $100,000. Then, of course, we had to, because our sheriff was not getting along with our superintendent at the time, they then had to get police, and they had to get their own police. We pay that. We have resource officers in our schools, which is wonderful, don't mind you. That's wonderful because they help with our students, they help with safety, and I'm all for that. I'm a very strong proponent of that. But we pay their salaries. And we pay it all year, even when school's out. So we're paying their salaries. So there's a lot of things that we can do as a school board to not only help our staff, to make sure that we are behind them, that we have to show that they're guilty rather than they are automatically guilty before it starts. And then also to help bring that money down. Now I have the experience. I am in the classroom. I know what's going on. And I have been for a long time. I talk to the teachers, I talk to the support staff, I talk to the bus drivers. I am right there with them. Now, when I win, when I win as a school board member, I will have to leave teaching in this county. But I don't want to leave out of the classroom because I want to still know what's going on. So what I want to do is I still want to get inside the classrooms. I want to go visit. I want to ride the buses. I want to go into the cafeteria. I still want to be there. And of course, I still want to help my students because they have to pass the test for the state test that they have to pass. And when I win, it'll be in November that I take office. So I'd have to leave my classroom. So as a school board member, I plan to still go into my classroom every single time and see my students and help them. I'm not going to give up on our schools. I'm not going to just sit on a school board and listen. That's not how you get it done. You got to be in there. You got to be knowing what's going on. We have right now on our school board, we have 2 teachers. One is getting ready to retire. That's the seat that we will take, that I will take. And then we have 2 resource officers that used to be resource officers. They no longer are. And then we have a businessman. Now, the teachers, one of them has been there for a long time. It's been a long time since she's been in the classroom. The other teacher was before COVID. She retired before COVID. And let me tell you, in our classrooms, a lot goes on in our classrooms every single day, every single year something changes. We're always having to do new things. Our class size are always getting larger. Like right now, I have 31 students in one class, and most of them have 504s is where they have a plan, behavior plans, where they have different learning needs. 31 students of those are in one classroom. That's a problem. Why? Because we don't have the staff. Because it's easier to pay the fine, because we're supposed to only have 25 students in our classroom. It's easier to pay the fine. It's cheaper for them than to sit there and try to get another teacher. So, sorry, I'm thirsty. So, what I bring differently is because since I am in the classroom right now, I know our needs. The teacher that's on there right now, again, she's really good. Not the one that's retiring, the other one, because she's going to be gone. The one that's the only one that would be on there if I'm not elected, she hasn't been there for a long time. It was way before COVID. So that's not helpful. We need people. We need educators on the board. I believe in a diverse group of board members, but we still need the educators on the board, because if you don't have the educators on the board, then you're not knowing what the real needs are. And we are really good at adapting when things happen. When COVID hit, oh, you're so sweet. When COVID hit, we were able to adapt quickly. When everything goes crazy in our classroom, we're able to adapt quickly. Educators know what we need to do. Educators know how to adapt. That's why I am really the best candidate, because I have the experience, I know what we need, and I'm not doing it because I want to be a politician or because I want to sit there and have a different career. I love teaching. I love it. But I also know what we really need, and it's hurtful to see staff members and our students suffering in our schools because we do not have the proper people sitting on the board knowing what needs to be done and have the voice to say it. I have been advocating for our staff members for over 10 years. For over 10 years, I've been going to that school board meeting every second Tuesday of every month, and also calling the school board members and saying, this is the problem, this is what we need to do. But they're not listening to me because I'm not on the board. If I'm on the board, oh, believe me, I'm not going to be quiet. I'm not going to be just listening to the staff members and they tell me what to do, because that's what's happening right now. Instead, I'm going to be the one that's going to be fighting for our educators, for our students. So vote for me, please, Victoria Smith, School Board District 2, on or before November 5th. Thank you. If you have any questions.
You might have any questions for Victoria? Yeah, the microphone's coming. Hold on just a second. Thank you.
Vicki, at each one of our high schools, we have an academy or a careers thing. Can you talk about what we have at the schools and certifications and all that?
Yes, thank you so much, because I planned on saying that, but I came up here unprepared. But yes, so we do have academies in each of our high schools, and they're all certifications, so they are able to get certified, such as like the Health Academy in Crystal River. They do have certifications for that. So what that does is it does help them get into, later on, they can get into, help them with their colleges, of course, help them in their career if they want to go in that choice. But I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to also bring up one of the things that I want to do as a school board member is I wanted to have a task force to go out into the businesses because we do currently have academies, like we have construction academy as well. But what we need to know what is the needs of the businesses here in Citrus County. What do they actually need? And that's what we should be promoting in our schools. And same thing with WTC. You know, WTC has a lot of different things happening in there. And our 11th and 12th graders go to WTC if they choose to go in that path, that they're not going in the college path, because let's face it, not everyone's going to go to college, and they shouldn't. We need all those others, right? We need the plumbing. We need to sit there and make sure we have the welders. But what's happening, even at WTC, and the students go there for 11th and 12th, and then they have to pay for their own after that. So what's happening is either the students can't keep going because they don't have a scholarship for it, or they don't have someone that's behind them, because we do have a lot of low incomes. But also, too, if they get into something that we really don't need here, then they're going to leave our county and to go somewhere else. So we should be partnering with our business leaders, and we should be finding out what is the need and make sure we have those academies in our schools as well as WTC. So thank you for that, because I meant to bring that up, because that is very dear to me, because my son was one of those kids. He needed to have that, and now he's an entrepreneur. He owns his own business, but he was not college bound. In fact, he got a certificate of completion. He didn't get a high school diploma because he just didn't get school. But yet, guess what? He was really good at doing things with his hands, right, and learning that trade. So, sorry.
All right, Vicki, we got 23 schools in this district, correct?
Yes.
All right. What, Dave Vinson has won the sheriff's, and he's proposing to do away with the police. Not the school resource, but the police. What would you do with that excess budget?
Well, let me tell you. So right now, I'm not sure if they're going to do away with the schools, school police, because when they look at it, and I researched it too, because I wanted to know, is it really beneficial to have? And they said, when you look at it, the research, it doesn't really, it helps and it doesn't help. You know, they've seen that it's good to have. It looks good. There's safety, but at the same time, it's never stopped a shooting. And but then the schools that have them and that had the shootings, and then the schools that don't have them, you know, nothing's happened either. So it's just a 50-50 thing there. But if we didn't have it, all that money could go back to the teachers' salaries, because we're paying their salaries. So our teachers and our support staff, our bus drivers, all of them they're always getting the low end. I have been part of the bargaining team for many, many years, and let me tell you, they sit there and every single time they go, this is the money we have, and I've been on the budget committee for all those years too, and every single time they say, this is the money we have. This is all we have. But they don't show us the money that they're putting aside for their administration, for also the police, for the resource officers, because it's not our business. And when you try to do a public records request on it, you're not seeing the full budget either. So it's now at the end of the year, you do see the whole, the budget. But again, let's face it, it's all the categoricals. It's got all these things, and then it's got all the salaries, but it doesn't show where that salary is going to. It doesn't say this is for this is for this. You have to do a public records request for each one of those and know what you're asking for on the public records request. Otherwise, they tell you, well, it's online, here it is, because I've done it several times. So you have to really know how to look at the budget and know the budget to see where the money is going. So yes, I would put it towards the salaries.
All right, we have a question by Mary.
Hi, Vicki. How are you today?
Good. Thank you, Mary.
I just want to ask this question, okay? We have in the schools called social emotional learning, or some would call it psychological counseling. And it's for every child from pre-kindergarten to 12th grade. Every day of their lives, from pre-kindergarten to 12th grade, they're getting their emotional well-being tapped into by a life coach or whatever. So my question to you is, why does it have to be for every single child? Why can't they have something like this for problem children only? That's my question.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question, actually, because first of all, the state requires that we have to give it to all our students. So every other Thursday, we are showing something about, what to look for that, such as this last time it was on bullying. How you, as a child, you might be helping bullying when you don't stop bullying. And then, of course, it's discussed in the classroom and it's talked about. But what we really need is for what you're saying, is we definitely need to have someone that's qualified, that is testing, first of all, the students to determine what is causing their behavior. Because a lot of our kids nowadays, I'm sorry, they don't know how to handle stress. They don't know how to problem solve. And so, because it's everything's a give me mentality. They feel entitled, so they don't know how to deal with any emotions that come through. Their whole thing is quickly with the phone and an iPad. That's all they're looking at all the time. Phone, iPad. And so they don't know how to interact with people anymore. Our kids don't. And they're moving up the ranks like that. And it's starting in elementary. In elementary, we have severe behavior issues. And so you want to find out what exactly is that behavior. Is it because they're having lack of support at home? Is it a parent issue? Or is it because maybe they have some social emotional learning going on there? And so there is things out there that they could be tested for. Now, they do some testing because when they have behavioral issues, that's how they come up with the behavior plan. But I agree, there needs to be more out there. But again, that's money. We have a hard time getting our people, the qualified people in our school system, because they can make more money in the private sector. So that always comes down to money, but that is something that is definitely needed, for the welfare of our students and for the welfare of our staff. I mean, when an elementary student goes off in a classroom, and it happens a lot, we have kindergartens throwing chairs, we have kindergartens swearing, we have kindergartens spitting, and we're talking at the staff members besides the other students. Instead, what happens is they pull every student out of the classroom except for that one child that's messing up. So then that's a disruption of learning, right there. And then also too, then you're also rewarding that student in a sense, because now they're getting that behavior, that they're getting intensified. I mean, let's face it, we all had children at one point, most of us have, and we know that if you sit there and single that out, you're giving that child exactly what they want, right? So yes, so there needs to be a lot more, but it's hard to find those people that want to work in our school system because the money is just not there, and we need that.
Let me get a question back here first, Mary, before you follow up. Thank you.
So when they create the budget, do they budget for 100% of the positions being filled?
Yes, they do. Thank you. And that's another thing that they do. So they do 100% every single year. Every single year they do 100%. But then every single year, when you look at history, because that's what we do when we look at the budget, when we're just discussing salaries and everything, we look at the history of it. And every single time they never fill that 100%. But they never put that money back into our pockets, back into the staff pockets. Instead, they just put it back in the budget. So it's not helping where it needs to go. And we bring it up every single year. We're like, all right, after a certain amount of time, then take some of that money and now put it into the staff hands. And they're like, no. We want to make sure that they're very fiscal, which is good. It's good. We've never, even when Duke Energy closed, I have to say this county, and I was vice president then of a Citrus County Education Association, and we determined that we would not take a pay raise that year because we knew that it was important to save jobs. We wanted to make sure that the teachers that were already there, the support staff, everyone that was already employed stayed there. Just the ones that we would get, that would leave are the ones that were retiring. But, so we've always been sound that way, but they never give the money back. And here we did that. We were like, okay, we're not gonna ask for a salary raise. But then when we do start getting money, give us that salary raise. Well, guess what? They still never have. They have never contributed back to us. So yes, that's a very good question.
Okay, here we go. I don't want to make you mad. This is an honest question, okay? I'm somebody that I know a lot of everyday people. You're somebody, you know all the educators, okay? So that's what's different. And all the everyday people that I know, they say, we are in the schools too top heavy, like you said. So here we go.
No, you're not going to know because sometimes I.
So
forget,
when
you know.
what can you see? What we say is the triple dippers take so much. That's a huge. That is a. We call it a Cadillac retirement. Okay. So what we are saying is, they're getting all this money. The people that are retired because they've been in the same government job, and then they get another government retirement, and it's hefty. And some of that money could be used to teach children if they, for the teachers, if the top administrators didn't get so much money. Okay, that's my question.
Okay, so I'm a little confused though, Mary. So, okay, so are you talking about when, let's say, a teacher goes in a drop and they're, okay, so the drop actually is given to us by the federal. So, right, so that's something we cannot touch. The drop program is where, for everyone, the drop program is, let's say, okay, so let's say I do my 5 more years of retirement, then I'll be at my full retirement. But what I could do is I could continue on. And then what happens is I decide to go into the drop program, and then they give you extra money towards your drop. So it's like you're getting, it's a really nice savings, big giant savings. Now the state did deduct it. It used to be much larger, and then the state deducted it. But I will tell you, first of all, that's federal, so the state, but they did take away some of that. But the problem with that is we would not be able to use that money towards the salaries. That's the issue. But I will tell you, there's less teachers doing that now, doing the drop, because they're tired. And by the time they get to their 30 years and they squeak up there very hard to get up there, it's very hard on them, that when they do get there, they're just like, nope, I'm getting out. I've had enough. I can't handle this anymore. I just can't do it. I love teaching, but I can't handle it because they don't have that support, and the students are off the wall. Yeah.
Vicki, for a final question, this is my question. Yes. This is a point of clarification. So a teacher's accused of something. That is not a state decision to remove them from the classroom. That is a county decision.
Well, it just all depends, of course, on the severity.
Right.
If there's a very severe, they need to be removed, right? Because they have to. But what's the county is mainly is when they're as soon as they hear a complaint. Let's say this is the problem. Let's say it's the end of the school year.
Yes.
And so then a staff member gets accused of something. And this has happened several times. And then during the summer, nothing's happening. They're not asking that, they're not doing their investigation. But already the letter has gone to the Department of Education. So then what's happened, and that's for their certificate. So then they're saying, we're going to do an investigation on you. So the state is already doing an investigation where the staff has never been even questioned yet by anyone.
Is that a school board decision or a superintendent decision?
That is the school board decision, because what they do is HR is the one that says, okay, we're going to do it here because it's policy. Okay. It's board policy. So that's something that I would definitely change. I think we need to make sure that if a staff member is doing something inappropriate, we do need to do our due diligence. But there's no reason not to investigate. And then if there's a problem, send it to the Department of Education. Now, I will tell you, there is a certain timeline you got to send it.
Right.
So that's why they send it immediately, because they want to make sure they get it up there so they don't get in trouble. But they can still quickly start their investigation before they do that.
All right, thank you very much for that. Give her a hand. All right. Good. Thank you to all the candidates again for coming tonight. And again, we live stream this at calvaryinv.com and then on our Facebook and YouTube, Calvary Inverness. Please share that with your friends and let everybody know the candidates that are running. In closing tonight, I've asked Jesse Runson to come and give us an update on his court case. Give him a hand as he comes up.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing this evening? Let's hear for Kevin for putting on the MC for this evening. Did such a great job. Let's hear for the church for hosting this. It is so important that we have this kind of community outreach where we can speak to our candidates and our representatives. And let's hear it for them for speaking. It's so important that the candidates come out and tell you how they feel and what they believe and what they plan on doing. And let's hear it for yourselves, because it's important, the community being informed and coming out to these kind of events to educate yourself on how to better your community is so important, and it's such an important step for how we get a better community. Now, a few years ago, I did not imagine myself in so many court cases. All right, I started off with my federal one, and that's still ongoing, but now I have 2 against the county. All right, I got involved to run for county commissioner, Mr. Paul over here, and I went out, did everything the right way. I went out and I got my petition signed. I went out and I spoke. I told everyone that I'm the populist. I'm the person of the people. I'm the grassroots. I'm the person who wants to see this change. I'm the person who wants to see it for you, and I want to represent the people of Citrus County. Now, there are people in the county that did not agree with allowing me to do this. All right, I don't play the game. I don't know the people. I don't shake the right hands, I guess, because after I was already qualified to be a candidate, Mo Baird decided to come in, overstep her jurisdiction, and remove me from the ballot on the very last day before they were printing them. She called the ballot people, told them to X me out, and that I wasn't a candidate anymore. So after I went to her and I said, "You can't do this," she looked me square in the eye and said, "I don't care." So I contacted an election lawyer. Election lawyer calls, we're on a group chat. She says, "There are people pressuring me to keep him off the ballot." So I want to know who can pressure an elected official to keep a qualified candidate from running in an election, to allow the people to elect the person they want to see in that office, and to not have it selected through a corrupt means, through the SOE, who doesn't even have the authority to do ballot removal. So I sued them. All right, I got a lawyer. I went, sued the county. This went to Judge Falvey. So Judge Falvey looks at my suit and she says, "Jesse, you need to properly explain why you deserve your constitutional rights." I said, I thought they were God-given and we were all entitled to them from the get-go, but apparently I was wrong, or at least in her court, you need to say, have an argument for why you deserve to have them and for them to be enforced. So I made that argument. She refused to rule. This was an emergency injunction for declarative relief, which is a one-day hearing that you're supposed to get. I filed on July 1st, and I still have not had that hearing. So I filed a complaint with the Supreme Court of Florida. They decided to take my case up, and after review, they pushed it back down to Falvey with special instructions to rule immediately. They said, "This is a time-sensitive matter. It needs to be resolved. Falvey, rule on this." That was in the middle of August. We still have not had a ruling on this case. I wrote a judicial notice this past week back to the Supreme Court of Florida again, saying my First Amendment right, my 14th Amendment right to due process is being infringed. I have civil liberty violations against not only the judge and the SOE, but this is going against the entire county now for them not standing up. The Republican Party has not stood up. The RPOF has not stood up. No one has given me any hand on this. So I've actually spent more suing the county than I even did running for office, which is absolutely ridiculous. So when this last election happened, the primary, I was not on the ballot, so I contested the election. I said this was not a proper election because all qualified candidates were not on the ballot. So this is a completely separate lawsuit that I filed after that election happened. It's supposed to come with an automatic hearing. You're supposed to be able to present the evidence to a jury in front of the judge. I've still not had that hearing. They refuse to give it to me, and they expect me to go away. They want me to fold. They want me not to spend any more money. They want me to just forget about it. They want me to start focusing on the stuff in the future. But that's not how we get a better country. We need to uphold the laws. We need to uphold the system, and we need to have faith in that system, because if we don't have faith in our election, this country falls apart, which is why I refuse to step down. I want to see everyone held to account. I want to see justice served in this county, which is why when I'm not on in the 5th, in this next election, I'm going to sue the judge as well. This is election interference. This is a violation of their duty, not only as the judge, not only as the supervisor of elections, but this is abuse of power. All right, this is electioneering, and I will not stand for it, so I will continue to fight. I reached out to the DeSantis crew. They told me if I win this election, I will have a special election, which will most likely happen in January. So if, Paul, you beat Miss Holly, you'll have to have a special election against me in January. And so that might be fun. We'll see what kind of turnout we get there. But it's just so important that we understand what's going on and the corruption that we're facing in this system. Not only have I dealt with federal corruption and then a corrupt sheriff, but now a corrupt SOE and a corrupt judiciary. And I refuse to stop. I refuse to sit down. I refuse to shut up. I will be outspoken every single day. I've talked to the Election Integrity Board. There's actually an open investigation into Mo right now. So if there's any justice, she'll be sitting in a jail by this time next year. All right? And then hopefully we can get someone in that position that will do their job and that will act appropriately, because the rules are laid down. We're all supposed to follow them. And when they don't, they need to be held accountable, especially as elected officials. Now, I don't want to talk your ear off all night. I just wanted to give you an update on how my case is going and what I'm doing and how I'm proceeding against the county. And I don't want to keep everyone from going to bed too late, so I'll open the field up to any questions that you might have for me while I'm up here. And
Jesse, I have one for you, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So what recourse, the Florida Supreme Court sends down a direction to Judge Falvey.
Yes.
That is not followed. So
Yes.
what accountability do the judge have to give, or is there any ramifications for ignoring
There
it?
could be, depending on how they want to do that.
Okay.
They could actually take her down off the bench. They could just issue some sort of, slap on the wrist punishment. But what I've asked them to do is to make a ruling and have the hearing. I didn't ask for any, in my judicial notice I filed this week, I didn't ask for them to have any disciplinary action. They can do that on themselves. But I asked for them to take the course back up, them to have the hearing, because I need my due process. This country is built on representatives and being able to defend yourself in court. I've paid my dues, I've written my things, I've sent out my subpoenas, and yet First and 14th Amendments say everyone is entitled to equal representation under the law and to have their day in court, and that's what I want.
All right. Any questions for Jesse?
Nobody? Well, all right, everyone be safe. I want you to be excited for this election. I want everyone to vote Trump, and we will have a country back again, and hopefully this corruption will all just fall by the wayside and we'll be able to move forward. Have a good evening and safe getting home.
All right, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you so
you. All right, let me pray. Thanks for everybody coming out tonight, and the candidates are here. I'm sure they'd love to talk to you. Father, we just thank you for this evening. We thank you for everything that we've heard tonight. Lord, thank you, even with all the difficulties and problems we have as a nation, and even down to local government, we still live in the greatest nation and the greatest county of the United States, Lord, and the greatest nation in the world, and we're very grateful. You gave us this nation, Lord, and we will fight every way we can by voting and being active in our community and in our state and in our nation to keep it as you have given it to us. We love you, Lord, and we just thank you for all that you're doing in our lives in Jesus' name. And bless our candidates and their families' lives, Lord, as we come to this election in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you guys. Thank you.